Good evening, good evening, good evening, and welcome to Dhijah's Unfiltered. I've actually been off for a while, and I'm really sorry about that, but there's a lot we need to talk about, and I just had to make time to bring it all to you today. So, I'm going to wait a little while for guys to join so we can get it started, because today's conversation really entails a lot, and you wouldn't want to miss it. Okay, so today we would actually be discussing a number of issues that has taken place over the week, and these issues range from rising fuel prices in Ghana. There was this attack on Ibrahim Mahama, the artist, and there was also claims about a woman who cooked with human waste for her children, to issues at Burkina Faso, the tomato ban. And as you know, if you've been following this page, you know I'm very passionate about this Burkina Faso and their tomato issues. So have been following it closely. So I was really worried not having time to bring you the updates. So I decided that's one of the major reasons why I came on live today. So guys, please join in and then let's have a discussion. So welcome, welcome, welcome. So like I was saying, we have quite a number of things to discuss today, ranging from the rising fuel prices to the attack on Ibrahim Mahama, the artist, to a viral story going around about a woman who cooks with human waste for her children, to the issue on this the ban on tomato from Burkina Faso, which is one thing I'm very passionate about. And so I think, yes, so we have a few people now. So I think it's only fair to get started. So let's start with this issue of Burkina Faso and the tomato ban. So I don't know if you've heard over the week that there's been a ban on tomato exports from Burkina Faso to other countries. So just in case you haven't heard, let's start by refreshing ourselves. So tonight we are not just talking about tomatoes, but we're talking about blood, we're talking about survival, policy failure, and a country being forced to face its own reality. Yes. So, because what started as a tragic attack, if you remember, on innocent Ghanaian traders, has now turned into full-blown food crisis. So let's go back to where all this began, right? So if you remember, in February 2026, Ghanaian tomato traders traveling through northern Burkina Faso in a place called Titao were ambushed. They were not criminals. I mean, these were not criminals. These were not armed men. These were just traders, fathers, mothers, breadwinners of the family who were simply trying to bring food back home. They were reportedly separated. I mean, the men were separated from the women and executed. Their truck loaded with tomatoes were burnt. Lives were lost. Families destroyed. And just like that, fear entered into the tomato trade. After that day, many Ghanaian traders refused to go back because no basket of tomato was worth their life. But as time went on, this is the only trade they know. So as time went on, like within a week or two, they resumed trade again. And if you realize, within that short period of the break, there was serious in the hike of I mean the prices of tomato in the market. There were no tomatoes in the market. Tomato prices were very high and all that. So just when they resumed trade again and then things started normalizing, they started going back and bringing tomatoes and things started normalizing. bam, we were hit with another bad news, I would say. Bad news in the sense that just as we were trying to process the tragedy of what happened and then things were normalizing, like I said, another shock came. So just this March 2026, Burkina Faso made a bold decision. And this decision had to do with the ban of exports of tomatoes. So they just banned tomatoes like that, no warnings, no transition, just a hard stop. And why? The reason was to protect their own economy, to feed their own people, and to grow their own tomato processing industry. Yes, that makes sense, right? Let me retrace the reasons. So the reasons were to protect their own economy, to feed their own people, and to grow their own tomato processing industry. But here's the problem. Ghana depends heavily on Burkina Faso tomatoes, especially during certain seasons. So overnight, supply collapsed. This is serious and a big blow to the Ghanaian market. I mean, in terms of tomatoes, because we produce tomatoes, but not enough to feed our population. So now let's bring it back home. So walking into a market today, whether it's in Accra, in Kumasi, or Techiman, you will feel it because the tensions, the frustration, and the fear. Tomatoes are becoming scarce, prices are rising, and traders are struggling. Yes, traders are struggling. This is no longer just a market issue. This is a kitchen issue. It's a family issue, and to be sincere with you, it's a national issue because and now the voices are getting louder. The Peasant Farmers Association of Ghana has spoken. And what did they say? They called this crisis a blessing in disguise. And I side with them. They call it a blessing in disguise. Why? Because it has it has exposed Ghana's biggest weakness. I don't know how true it is, but I heard at some points that I think Burkina Faso, they actually came to learn some techniques in tomato plantation and everything from Ghana. And now look at us today. We go to them for exports. We go to export tomatoes. We're unable to produce enough to even feed ourselves. Anyways, so Peasant Farmers Association of Ghana have called this a blessing in disguise, and the reason is because it has exposed Ghana's biggest weakness, our dependence on others to feed ourselves. Then came the Food and Beverages Association of Ghana, and they didn't hold back. They said this situation is a policy failure, a result of poor planning and neglect of local agriculture. In fact, they claim Ghana could produce tomatoes within 60 to 90 days. So the question is, why haven't we? One might ask, as all this is going on, what is government saying about this? So now the government is stepping in. If you are having that question in mind, the government is stepping in now, and there are talks of diplomatic engagements with Burkina Faso to possibly ease the ban. To yes, to possibly ease the ban. But guys, let's be honest. Should Ghana be begging for tomatoes, or should Ghana be producing its own? So this is where the conversation gets really uncomfortable because this is not just about tomatoes. This is about food security. This is about economic independence. This is about leadership and priorities. How does the country with fertile land, farmers ready to work, and a growing population still depend on another country for something as basic as tomatoes? So what are we looking at going forward? So going forward, what we should be expecting is higher food prices because almost every food we consume in this country we do with tomatoes. If it is rice and stew, tomatoes is involved. Kenke, kenke with pepper, tomato is used in preparing that pepper. So prices so it's either the quantity of kenke will reduce because the price of tomatoes is high, or they'll just use only pepper in place of tomatoes. Anyway, so pressures on possible shortages. Yes, as we've already said, majority of our exports comes from Burkina Faso. We are unable to produce enough here in Ghana. So you would see you wouldn't see as much tomatoes in the market as you used to see before. And we should also look at pressure on households. So household pressures in the sense that if initially you used to purchase about let's say 20 cedis tomatoes to cater for your household, now you need to buy about 60 cedis, which is putting more financial burden on the household. And we would also witness rising public frustration, because this is putting a lot of burden on the pockets of the ordinary Ghanaian. So there'll be that public frustration. But aside all this, should I call it negatives have mentioned, effects have mentioned, let's also look at this as an opportunity for Ghana to wake up, to invest in agriculture, and to build a system that fits its own people. So this brings us back to the issue of we as individuals also contributing. Contributing in what sense? Like, I know that we are in a day and age where everyone tiles their houses, puts pavements, blocks in their houses, and there's barely soil in their house. But for those of us who still have a bit of soil in our backyards, I think this is an opportunity, a time for us to get involved in backyard farming. Operation Feed Yourself, something like that, to get involved in backyard farming, so we can plant certain basic things like tomatoes, pepper, and all that. Those little contributions from individuals will also help ease the burden on the market, on tomato demand in the market. So guys, please, if you have any soil or free land at the back of your house, or yes, at your backyard, I would encourage you start planting certain basic things like tomato, pepper, okra, and all that. It would also help. So in conclusion, I would say that I'll leave you with this question. So do you see this as a crisis, or is this a wake-up call? Because the truth is, when a country cannot feed itself, every other problem becomes bigger. So guys, this is what we had to discuss on this Burkina Faso tomato issue. Ali, so if you haven't heard, you've been updated now. So on this note, I think it's time we move on to our second story, which has to do with mob justice. Over the years in this country, we've witnessed several incidents of mob justice, claiming innocent lives and all that. But guys, before we delve into it, please, if you're watching and you haven't yet subscribed, kindly support this channel by subscribing and clicking on the bell notification icon, so that anytime any new update is loaded, you would get notified, so you can keep updated. So on that note, let's move on to the issue of mob justice in the country, because I believe that, yes, a lot of attention, we've spoken about it on countless occasions, but this thing keeps happening. What should be done then? Because just last week, 2 men accused, no trial, no evidence, no second chance, just anger, suspicion, and death. So tonight, we ask a hard question. Are we still a nation of law or a nation of mob? So if you're just joining, welcome to Dhijah's Unfiltered. Okay, so let's hit the story. In the quiet community of Intensary, where what started as a normal day turned into a nightmare. So 2 scrap dealers, 2 young men trying to earn a living. 2 scrap dealers, 2 young men trying to earn a living entered the area. Their names were Al Hassan and Nagolo. But before sun could set, they were dead. Why? Because a rumor spread like wildfire that they had attempted to abduct a child. No investigation, No verification, just fear and fury. A crowd, a crowd gathered. Voices turned into accusations. Accusations turned into violence. And within a twinkle of an eye, those two men were beaten mercilessly until they took their last breath. Their motorcycle bent, their humanity forgotten. And here's the part that should make every single one of us uncomfortable, because these two men, they were given this mob justice because they were allegedly reported to be stealing a child. But here's the part that makes us uncomfortable, because the child that they were accused of stealing was later reported to be safe. Let that sink in. If that is true, then what happened in Intanseri wasn't justice. It was a tragic mistake that cannot be undone, because two lives of innocent men who were just trying to make a living were beaten to death just like that for something they didn't even do. Because if they were accused of stealing a child, that child was later found safe, not even in their custody. So how was this anyway? So this is no longer just about these two men. This is about who we are becoming as a society. When did suspicion become enough to kill? When did anger become stronger than truth? And when did we lose patience for justice? Today, it was Al Hassan and Nagolo. Tomorrow, who next? A stranger in your neighborhood, a delivery rider, a traveler, or a traveler who doesn't speak your language, or perhaps someone you love. No one knows. It could be anybody, So because mob justice does not investigate, mob justice does not apologize, and mob justice does not reverse itself. When the harm is done, it is done. So, yes, it is a crime. Yes, fear is real, but we have laws, we have policies, and we have systems. If we abandon them, then we are not protecting ourselves. We are destroying ourselves. So I want to hear from you guys. I really want to hear from you. Do you think mob justice is ever justified, or has it gone too far in Ghana? Drop your thoughts in the comment section. Drop your thoughts in the comment section and let's interact. So if you believe stories like this need to be told, please go ahead and like, share, and follow Dhijah's Unfiltered for more, because silence is how things. Okay, yeah, please like, share, and then next, because keeping silent about all this is how these things continue to escalate. Right. So, to bring an end to this, I would like to say to the families of these two men that no words can bring them back. But as a nation, we must decide, will we learn from this, or will we wait for the next tragedy to trend? Because this is not the first time, this is not the second time we talk about it, and then it keeps recurring itself. So on this note, I think we'd have to close curtains on this and then move on to our next topic. So please, I'll reiterate this again. If you're watching and you haven't yet subscribed, please do so to subscribe to Dhijah's Unfiltered and click on the bell notification icon so you can stay connected to future discussions. So the next story has to do with I would say it's a disgusting one, but we have to report on it all the same, because this is about a mother who, okay, so let me put it this way. So sometimes the most dangerous and disturbing stories are not found in So sometimes the most dangerous and disturbing stories are not found in horror movies. They are hidden behind closed doors in the very homes we pass every single day. So what am I talking about? Tonight on DJ's Unfiltered, we're looking about a case that has shaken many people across Ghana. So this story is not just of shock, but of silence, neglect, and a cry for help that went unheard. So this is it. In a quiet area within the Wejagbawe municipality, in a community known as Bulemi, lived a woman, a mother, 56 years old. She wasn't famous, she wasn't known. But behind the walls of an uncompleted building, something deeply disturbing was happening. According to confirmed reports, this woman, called Letitia Okai, was allegedly preparing meals for her own children using human waste. Yes, human waste, as in feces and urine. Now, pause for a moment and think about this. These were not strangers. These were not customers. These were her own children. Children who depended on her and trusted her. Ate what she gave them without question. And for how long this went on is something that continues to haunt many people. This story may have remained hidden if not for a viral video. Right? If not for a video that spread across social media like wildfire, sparking outrage, disbelief, and fear. But this time, it wasn't just talk. Authorities stepped in, investigations began, and what many feared started to be confirmed. The situation quickly drew attention of government officials. Interventions came through the Ministry of Gender, Children and Social Protection in Ghana. The woman was taken in, not just for questioning, but for psychiatric evaluation. And the children, they were removed from that environment to ensure their safety and to begin processing recovery. And to begin a process of their recovery, sorry. But there's but here's where we must shift from shock to understanding. This is not just a story of horror. This is a story of mental health, a story of what can happen when someone is suffering and no one notices or no one steps in. Because no mental stable person wakes up one day and decides to do this. This points to something deeper, something broken, and something ignored. So now the question is not just how could she do this? The real question is, how did no one see this coming? Where were the neighbors? Where was the community? Where was the system? Because situations like this don't start overnight. They grow slowly in silence. So this story is really painful, not just because of what happened, but because of what it represents, right? Children suffering in silence, a mother battling with something unseen, and even a system that arrived only after things had gone too far. So tonight, let this not just be another shocking story you heard online. Let it be a reminder to check on people, to take mental health seriously, and to speak up when something doesn't feel right. Because sometimes the signs are there, but we just don't look closely enough. So, this is DJ's Unfiltered, where we don't just tell stories, we uncover the truth behind them. So on this note, guys, if you haven't subscribed, please do well to click on the subscription button, and click on the bell notification icon so you can stay connected to future discussion. And while subscribing, you equally helping my channel to grow so we can get full access to live stream. Because as it is now, we only have limited access, so we're trying our possible best to make do with what we can. All right. So on the next topic, Let's move on to something that affects every single person. And I'm sure we all know about the tensions in the Middle East and all those things. And the pressures is putting on our oil industry and all that. So um, I want us to look at that because Ghanaians are once again waking up to a familiar pressure, the steady, relentless rise in fuel prices. But this time, the situation feels different. Yes, it feels heavier, more global, and more unpredictable. As we speak, fuel prices across Ghana are climbing sharply, with projections showing increases of up to 16 to 17% within March alone, and even a further 15% expected from April 2026. This is not just a routine adjustment. This is one of the most significant spikes in recent times. So, what is really driving this surge? First and most importantly, this is a global story before it became a Ghanaian one. Yes, across the world, crude oil prices have surged dramatically, jumping from about $71 per barrel to nearly $100 per barrel in mid-March. And here's why. War, yes, war is the reason why. Rising tensions in the Middle East, particularly involving the United States, Israel, and Iran, have shaken global oil markets. Critical supply routes, like the how is it called? Like the Strait of Hormuz or so, through which nearly a fifth of the world's oil passes, have become unstable and risky. Ships are delaying journeys. Insurance costs have risen. And then supply chains are tightening. And when oil becomes harder to move, it becomes more expensive. And now bring it home to Ghana. Let's bring it home to Ghana. Yes. Ghana is a net importer of refined petroleum products, meaning we rely heavily on international markets. So when global prices rise, we don't escape, we absorb the shock. Yes, we absorb it. That is why current projections show petrol prices hovering around 14 Ghana cedis per liter, diesel around 15 to 16 cedis, and LPG nearing 16 cedis per kilogram. And but it doesn't end at the fuel pump. Fuel is the heartbeat of the economy. And when fuel prices go up, transport fares increases, food prices rises, businesses pass costs to consumers, and the ordinary Ghanaian feels the squeeze in every corner of life. Even though the CD has shown slight appreciation in recent weeks, it has not been strong enough to offset the global shock. So one may ask, what are we witnessing? What we are witnessing is a collision of global conflicts. So supply chain disruption, domestic economic pressures, all meeting at one point, that is at the fuel point. And here's the uncomfortable truth. If these global tensions persist, especially around key key oil routes, fuel prices may not just rise, they could remain high for prolonged periods. This is no longer just a price issue, it is a cost of living crisis in motion. Yes. For drivers, traders, everyday household, the question is no longer why are prices going up. The real question is how long can people survive this pressure? Because in Ghana today, fuel is no longer just fuel. It is the foundation of survival. Yes. So guys, if you didn't know what is happening at our pumps today and why fuel prices are going higher, I hope at the end of this discussion, with this discussion we just have, you are well informed about what is happening and why fuel prices may be going higher at this point. So um I guess we can now move to our next story that has to do with the attack on Ibrahim Mahama, the artist, not the business mogul, but Ibrahim Mahama, the artist. Yes. So, but guys, please, if you haven't subscribed, please, please, please support my channel. Bring in your subscription. Turn in your subscription so we can get full access to live and do it big, guys. Okay, so now let's move to the attack on Ibrahim Mahama. So tonight we are confronted with a story that is as disturbing as a nuclear as that is as disturbing as it is unclear story. So a story that is still unfolding, a story that demands caution but also attention. Yes. So reports have been circulating fast, emotional, and in some cases conflicting about an alleged attack on renowned Ghanaian artist Ibrahim Mahama. So now for those who may not fully grasp the weight of this name, Ibrahim Mahama is not just an artist, he is a global cultural force, a man whose work has traveled from the streets of Tamale to the grand streets of international exhibitions, including platforms as prestigious as the Viennes the Venice Biennale. Okay. So when a figure of this magnitude is mentioned in connection with an attack, naturally it sends shockwaves. Yes. But let's slow it down and separate facts from speculation. So at this moment, the information remains largely unverified. Social media is flooded with claims. Some say he was targeted, others suggest it may have been a misunderstanding or even misinformation altogether. Yes, or misinformation altogether. And this is where we must be careful because in today's digital Ghana, a rumor can travel from Accra to Tamale in seconds within a twinkle of an eye. And but the truth often works. Yes, the truth often works because the truth takes time to circulate as compared to false rumors. Yes. So what we need to know about this is that there has been heightened conversations and concerns around Ibrahim Mohammed's safety. Supporters, fans, and members of the creative community are expressing worrying, demanding clarity, and calling for calm. But as of now, there has been no widely confirmed official statement from authorities or from Ibrahim Mahama himself confirming the details of any attack. So guys, let's remember this. This is Ibrahim Mahama the artist, not Ibrahim Mahama the business mogul. Okay. So and this raises deeper questions because are we witnessing a real incident that has yet to be properly reported, or are we seeing the dangerous power of misinformation taking hold once again? Because let's be honest, this is not the first time a public figure has been pulled into the center of unverified storm. What makes this even more sensitive is who Ibrahim Mahama represents. He represents African creativity, resilience, and global recognition. His work speaks about labor, history, struggle, and the unseen stories of ordinary people. So any treat, real or perceived, against such a figure touches something deeper in the national psyche. But here on Dhijah's Unfiltered, we do not rush to conclusions. We ask questions, we seek the truth, and we hold space for facts, not fear. So tonight we say this: if there has indeed been an attack, then it is a matter that must be taken seriously, investigated thoroughly, and addressed transparently. But if it turns out to be misinformation, then we once again confront a growing problem in our society: the speed at which false narratives spread and the damage they leave behind. To you watching right now, Pause before you share, question before you conclude, and always seek the truth beyond the noise. We will continue to monitor this developing story and bring you verified updates as and when they come. This is DJ's Unfiltered, where we don't just follow headlines, but we challenge them. So, guys, all too soon. Hey, Miss, where are you from? Oh, okay. Just seeing comments from Saroja. Saroja is asking where I'm from. So, hi, Saroja. I'm from Ghana. Yes, I'm from Ghana. Where are you from? Yes. So Saroja also asked what is going on. So basically, this is just an update of some of the trending issues that has happened over the week that I think people should get updated on. So it doesn't really matter where you're watching from. It doesn't really matter where you're watching from. Here we discuss things that you can also pick something from and learn. So far as you are in Africa, in the diaspora, or so far as you're human, it's something you can also pick and then take something from and then learn from it as well. So yes, Saroja, welcome to my life. And then Raham, hi Raham, I see you. Hi. Okay, guys. On this note, I think we call it a night. Thank you so much for spending your evening today. I really appreciate it. So if you joined this live and you haven't subscribed yet, I would plead with you to subscribe to DJ's Unfiltered and click on the bell notification icon so you can stay connected to future discussions. So until next time, stay informed, stay reflective. Good night.